agenda. Be it resolved, Duntroon Hall Board hereby approves the agenda dated June 15th, 2021 as presented. Favor. Good. Doug and Dave. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. The garden proposal. So at this point, I think planting anything would be incredibly difficult. I'm sure it's concrete out there.
No. Well, I was just there. So I thought that's where we're having the meeting.
Were.
With that, so I was just like, I had my whippersnipper and I was trying to figure out where to put it. They've left like a kind of a field beside, like between the playground and the dog park at the back there. And I thought that would actually be a good place that's kind of started already to be that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the plan is to sometime mow that.
We could request
No.
not to, and the one benefit of that is it does stay quite moist. So it would not require watering. It would definitely resemble more of a wetland
Okay.
type of, like anything
Right.
you put in there would definitely have to be a bit of a succulent, be used to soaking
Yeah.
water.
That's true. Yeah, I noticed that, and most of the plants I've got are sort of the drought resistant variety. So, so then I wasn't sure, like, because there is damage on those tree trunks on the berm, and I just, I thought again that maybe I should put them there, but I just wasn't sure. I just stood there and I was just like, I don't know. I just couldn't figure out where to put them. And also to mark it off. I wasn't sure how to mark it off. I think I sent you an email about that because I wasn't sure how to designate an area so that the township wouldn't just trample it.
Yeah. So I'll be meeting with
Terry?
no, Patton and Newman.
Oh, and Patton.
Yeah. And I'll be meeting with them regarding the parking lot in
Okay.
the very near future. So that's something we can request to sort of maybe flag off an area for that.
Do you think like between the trees there on the berm, like, I don't know.
Personally,
think?
I do, but that's my, I think that would be,
Or along the fence. That's where I was thinking, but I don't know. I just
which fence?
like the dog park fence,
On
I like that idea.
the west side?
east side.
Okay.
Mhm. So I think that's a nice idea. The berm I'm concerned about, like it was, there may not be much topsoil. It's just
Yeah.
built out of, I'm not sure if it would dry out really easily or something for plants.
Yeah, true.
I think that the idea along the fence is nice in my mind because just it
Okay.
makes that dog part look
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
There was
Refresh my
something
memory
there
what you're
today.
actually planting.
What's that?
Refresh my memory what you're actually planting.
I started some milkweed from seed from my land, and that's about 5 inches tall. So I've got a bunch of that. And I think it's called stiff goldenrod. And I've got, what was I don't know, they're all just local native wildflowers. I can't remember the yarrow.
Yeah.
And something else. I can't remember.
So it's basically, it will look like native bush.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and I think letting grass grow up in it too, like native grasses is, I'm like, I don't want it to be like a, like a cedar chip garden or anything. I just have it like be meadow would be nice. Oh, and echinacea.
Yeah.
So.
And it can be added to as the years go on.
Exactly, yeah. So the other thing I noticed while I was there too is that, and it's a different thing, but in the corner, there's like maybe 3, you probably noticed this, there's probably like 3 dead ash trees that if they fell are in falling distance of the playground.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll mention that to Public Works as well. That's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So-
good. Thanks for pointing that out. Perfect. Yeah, so I guess we can make a motion to approve the starting of planting a garden. Like how far off of the dog park fence do you think? Like 12 feet sort of thing?
Well,
Like,
no, I mean, I think I can just go along it, like, just like, I don't know, just make it like 3 feet deep or something, right? Don't
okay,
you think?
I'm just to make sure that they don't cut
Yeah,
that zone up.
Yeah.
They cut up to.
What do you think I could mark it with?
just some stakes and a rope or
Yeah.
something. We could just do something simple
Yeah,
like that.
okay. Yeah, I think I've got like some driveway, snowplow stakes, just the metal rods. I could put those in or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then-
And as I said, once I just talk to them, I'll point that out so that they can
Okay.
be aware that that's an area we're going to leave not to be cut.
There was a very happy dog there today.
Nice. Is that your dog?
Not my dog.
Uh-huh.
But they loved it. So they love the dog park. So
Great.
It's been well used.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I'll make a motion to that we will reserve approximately 3 feet along the east side of the dog park for a wildflower garden to be planted by Roz in the upcoming month, I guess.
next week.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So that's why I generalized upcoming month. All right. Perfect.
So you can't make that motion, but other people can.
Oh, make the motion.
Roz and Councillor McKechnie.
Okay. Perfect. Great. So next item. Well, does anybody, if anyone has any contributions or suggestions regarding the garden, and they can contact Roz and say, if there's things they want to donate to that job, or when you're doing your planting, if you want to make a call to people to come and help, just communicate amongst yourselves. I want to know where that good looking guy Ian was for the AGM.
Yeah.
Busy, I'm here.
You mean the new chairman?
Yeah. Congratulations, Ian.
But I took my tie off.
And you know what comes with the chair? You get a Santa Claus suit
Oh, yippee.
and a chicken suit, but we'll save that.
Sounds good.
Jim likes that one.
Yeah, it's hard. They will have to pry that away. It's his birthday.
Yeah.
You'll be wearing that at your birthday party. Second item, rising from the minutes, the gate installation update. Once again, the meeting is forthcoming with the Public Works to discuss that option. Small halls cancellation, I think we mentioned that before. Yeah, at this point, I guess as far as we're June, I guess we could tentatively start considering a date for if we were gonna have a know-it-all, return to the know-it-all ball. Trying to think of what would be, I mean, it's kind of difficult because we're not really know what the state of the hall's gonna be in. So it's hard to advertise anything. Because we can't really, I mean, we can't host anything till after October if we're doing it in the basement. And then the upstairs, we don't have, oh, I guess we do have access to the washrooms in the midsection. So yeah, I guess we could. I was just thinking about the washrooms upstairs, but yeah, we just can't use the bar area. We just have to be flexible with that. So I don't know what are people's thoughts on, I mean, small halls was usually the first week of October. Do we look at something at that around that time to start consider planning for something?
What's the deal with the downstairs? Sorry, Joseph is out at the end of October?
We haven't given a definitive date, but I think that was what I mentioned to him, that we had discussed that we would be starting Christmas parties in November, so that we'd need him out, obviously sometime in October. I haven't given him a definitive date on that yet.
The idea of placing it where the small halls is attractive to me.
The only thing is just not sure about COVID.
Yeah.
Just not sure how far things will have opened by then, I guess.
Well,
The
yeah.
farther you push it.
What's
more
the date?
likely you are
October 2nd is the
Right,
first
right.
weekend in October. And then we go into the 9th, 16th, 23rd. So
It's looking like G&E just canceled.
J&E's canceled, yeah.
New Farm is going ahead, apparently,
In when?
September 11th.
Oh, they're doing something, an event September 11th? Yeah, I mean, I think if we tentatively say, I mean, the other, yeah, it's a little touch and go, is, if we hosted something outside, but but even if it, even if we are limited by numbers, even if it's an event that we can only do for 50, it's a first come, first serve, and it's, it becomes a little more intimate, or we have a special guest list based on people that have sort of regularly attended.
That'd be fun.
So I say let's go for tentatively, let's just say October 2nd right now.
Sure.
And I think, yeah, basic know-it-all ball format, section on the pandemic,
Yeah.
songs that got you through the pandemic. Any comments? Anybody want to make any input towards that? People supportive of this, of attempting to host something in October, start of October?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Good. So it would be, yeah, that would be sort of our small halls for the year. Move on to next, the hall discussion, AOD and moving forward. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there was a meeting, where were we, 2 or 3 weeks ago, regarding, with all the hall chairs,
Sorry, Gord, are you looking at the right agenda? Or are
sorry.
you just going through the last month's minutes?
Oh, I'm going through am I on the minutes or where am I? Oh, sorry, I'm on the minutes. I had hopped over there.
No, it's fine, but
Sorry,
I was
we're
confused too. I thought,
yeah, sorry, we should be on to the finance report.
Sorry, Gord.
My bad, I was following the minutes. I got into the garden proposal and the gate installation and just kept going. Mary, I guess, couldn't get back, or is that, no, she hasn't gone back.
Mary was going to try and call in, but she apparently hasn't got that far yet.
Okay. Well, we can come back to her if there's anything to report. Events and booking update, Monica.
You're on mute, Monica.
Monica, you're on mute. If
We need to see a video of Monica panicking right now. How do I get this off mute?
Definitely is.
There she is.
Hi, Monica.
Are you there, Monica?
Hold on, hold on. Okay, Mom, you can talk.
Okay, Ian's got a bunch of dates in August booked for his gun course. And then our Christmas party starts the end of November.
Did everyone get that?
Yep.
And we tentatively booked the know-it-all ball for October 2nd.
Okay, do we think that's gonna be able to happen?
we don't know, but we've got to start picking a date if we are going to do something.
It may be just us.
Yeah, it might be just a small gathering, whatever restrictions allow.
What about the washrooms?
We have the downstairs washrooms, so,
Oh, okay.
or yeah, the midsection or whatever. So obviously the stage will be out of bounds, but
We used to say by then.
sorry, so Monica, I want to put on my calendar, is the 27th or the first date for Christmas parties?
I can send it to you. I'm driving, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you can send me a list, just so it's on my radar, what, when that will start happening, that'd be great. Thanks. Good. Okay. Well, thanks, Monica. Won't distract you anymore. Facility review. I just checked in with Joseph. There's nothing. He had nothing to report. No questions or things to add. I told him about discussed the outlet, and he was all good with that. I'm not sure if he's gone ahead with that or not, but I'll follow up. He didn't give me any details regarding that yet.
What about the sink?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the sink either. Yeah, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
I'm on mute.
no, did you happen to get a letter from Richard Cornell at all?
No.
He had some ideas for the outside area, on the parking lot and putting a BMX trail through the woods and things like that. He sent them to me, and I just said, look, you're going to have to just talk to the committee, and I gave him your email address, and I think Terry Vashon's too. So I didn't know whether he had followed up on it. That was all. So you haven't heard from him?
No.
No. Okay. You may.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the heads up.
So he just had some ideas. That was all. So.
Good. Yeah, I don't think that anything else anyone knows regarding the building that they need to mention, bring up. Anything people noticed? Nope.
I just spoke to mom, and the first Christmas party is November 6th.
Oh, okay.
And it's every weekend in November and most weekends in December.
Okay, great to know. November 6th. Yeah, so that just helps with just notifying Joseph of his departure dates. Okay. I guess one thing. I sent an email to Doug, the guy or whoever the owner of the gas station is. I haven't heard anything back just as far as accessing that space. Dave, I'm not sure if you had reached out as well, but I figured more the merrier. So
I talked to Andy Isaac, and he lives in Egypt.
the guy lives in Egypt?
Apparently.
Oh,
Does he have a representative or?
I don't know. I commented to him if he had a contact that I wanted to, move a piece of fence so I could get in and get the garbage out. And he says, the guy lives in Egypt, just go for it.
Just do it.
so you don't think he'll notice?
No.
Oh,
You sure it wasn't Little Egypt up on the mountain there?
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't hear anything back, but if I do, we'll see. I'd assume it won't be a problem either, but yeah. So I guess it wouldn't hurt to maybe pick a date to attempt to get in and clear that out.
that's just a carrying thing, right?
Yeah, just basically chucking stuff out the door over the railing into a trailer.
Okay, I can do that. I can help with that.
Yeah, so Dave, I'll leave that up to you to pick a date that works for you because it is your trailer and
Yeah, I'll just,
going in.
I don't know. It's crazy here right now. So
I bet.
when I get a Saturday or something, I'll give you a heads up ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That would even be something we could do in an evening too, just to clear it out too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might be more
Yeah,
realistic.
probably only take an hour or two max.
Yeah.
All right. New business. Here we go. This is my third time's the charm. The hall chairs update. The meeting was on June 2nd, so 2 weeks ago, and it was attended by pretty much, I think, all the hall chairs. I think all the halls were pretty much represented. Yeah, they were. And the new CAO, Don Ferguson, and Terry representing Parks, Culture, and Rec, and the mayor. And so basically it was just an opportunity to just to get an understanding of where everybody is at the other halls, pose some questions so we all sort of know what's going on for the whole each of the halls, and to make sure that the communication was clear to everyone in different regards. Jim attended as well. Thank you, Jim, for being there. It's good to get extra set of ears. He had some introduced a good idea. So part of the gist I got is we're dragging our ass on this decision because 3 of the halls have basically said they're ready to go. They're all gung ho. So it's basically 50% of the halls have made their commitments. One of them being Brentwood, which really doesn't have a lot to be done to it, so it's kind of minor. I took a little bit of offense to that comment, just because, you know, we've only been presented the, you know, that the Burnside, you know, what, 2 months ago, well, from that point, it was like 2 months ago. And, you know, I think personally, I feel we're doing our due diligence to come up with the solution that best suits us. Not feeling that the solutions from Burnside was suitable to the direction we want to see the Duntroon Hall going, or what changes to be made to it. So some of the things that were discussed, basically, part of the issues is the owner, like the ownership options. Basically, if we don't, you know, if whatever renovations we decide to go ahead with are tendered and can basically, you know, the lowest bid wins. So as far as work being done by volunteers in community, it doesn't sound like that really is an option if it is in the hands of the ownership as a part of the township. And then Jim made a suggestion that, well, what if we took over ownership, had the work done, and then submitted to the, or you know, basically return the ownership back to the township, you know, which I think is a great idea, but I'm not sure how well, you know, there was obviously concern of the optics of that on the, from the mayor, and just, yeah, there's a bit of a process there that we have to figure out before that we even consider that as an option. I reached out to Jeff Medley from Singhampton. I just wanted to get a sense of, if we did take over ownership, what insurance they are paying annually on Singhampton. Obviously ours being a larger facility probably would be considerably more, but he figures it's about 3,500 to 4,000. He was going to get back to me with the exact total, but that's roughly what they're paying in insurance. So it might be a consideration for us, even just to reach out to an insurance company and find out what, you know, what expense we're looking at if we do take over ownership. Some other questions I had is, you know, on an ownership basis, is, you know, could the hall and the park be separate? So so that if we're just taking over ownership of the hall and the park remains, so all the, you know, the duties and, you know, maintenance and all that stuff, you know, is still a part of the township. But I think there's a lot, I mean, the ownership thing, there's a lot of can of worms obviously there, because there is the, not only is there insurance, there's the water testing, there, you know, maintaining the well and facilities and all that, which
And the grass cutting and the snow blowing and all that stuff comes back on us then too.
If we take over, obviously, the park as well, but that's why I was wondering if to divide it into two, that, you know, the township maintains, they keep the park part of it. We could just strictly take over the hall, and in the ability to, you know, have a little more control on you know, how the changes that are made.
You may be able to negotiate a deal that they still do that for us.
Even if we,
yeah. Even if we are the owners of it, but you would think, like Jim's idea about sell it to us for $1, we fix it all up and sell it back to them for $1. Wouldn't that?
Well, my idea was that they pay us like $300,000 to take it off their hands.
Right.
Because there's no sense, if we buy it for $1, we don't have enough money to do the work anyway.
No, yeah.
So it's like, you
But
pay
we
us,
sell it back to them for $1.
and then we sell it back for $1. Exactly. So that's where the optics maybe was a bit tricky.
Right.
I think Doug Measures said something like, had public inquiry or something like that written all over it.
Yeah.
Well, there's lawyers just to the north of Clearview that'd be available, that'd be used to that.
I am wondering if we should have another non-meeting to discuss.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, it's important for us to be able to just go through some of the options. And yeah, I mean, obviously we want to keep moving on it. But I think we really have to settle on, before we make a concrete decision on a plan, we gotta feel comfortable about it.
So I talked to Lloyd Hunt the other day. Fairly lengthy conversation. He said that in the Kimberly Hall, they only did one floor with a accessible washroom. So if you're upstairs and you need to use the washroom, you jump in the elevator, ride it down, and go do what you need to do. He said that it was not worth doing the washroom on each floor. Now, I said, my comment was that occasionally we rent the floors out separately, but that's a very rare.
Yeah, and because of the configuration, if you're to do that, you'd have to do the lower level because of this, like you can't drop the one above without dropping the one below.
Right.
And so, basically we very rarely ever rent the upstairs on its own.
Right.
So that could work.
So was the suggestion that you only have one set of washrooms?
Well, in what the government requirements are, is the whole building has to be accessible.
Okay, so you got to remove.
Meaning that you have to lower the stage, the bar stage, lower it down, but you don't have to make an actual handicap washroom up there. You only have to have the accessible washroom on one floor. So
Right.
it requires like an 8 or 10 foot square type thing with a toilet and a sink, and be able to get in with a wheelchair and all that other stuff. And you have to have the call button and the power door and the yada, yada, yada. So,
Mhm.
he said that all the extras that, like, you may have the square footage to do the accessible washroom on both floors, but he says it's all the expenses that go with that washroom that make it more expensive.
And they're also awkward to use, like with the power door. You know, like if you have a bucket window and you're waiting for the door to close. Or
Yeah.
Did like they said, we were dragging our feet. Is there an indication of the finances? Did that get nailed down? What is exactly offered?
No, so that's what I was trying to get to the root of. So basically, what I got from like the mayor said, I was like, so the 25% is not, he doesn't support that. Like that's not a concrete number of what we would be, but no number, like he's not giving me, he's not giving us a percentage. And I sort of said, it's like, okay, well, the township was going to contribute 1.2, and we were going to cover, if we did the full fads, and then we were going to cover the 25%. It's like, so does that mean that there is 1.2 available for us? I think the sense I'm getting is it's the percentage is or the input of from the halls. It's just a commitment to staying with what staying with the program. Once again, it's wishy-washy. It's hard to, and there were similar responses. Half the halls are like, I don't want to be the bearer of carrying this debt forward to future hall boards, whereas the other half, they're all ready to go, and they're welcome and willing to do the fundraising for their 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. So
that's very adventurous.
Isn't that the starting point that we have to know what we're going to be like? He doesn't support that, but we have to know where we're starting from percentage wise. If he's saying he didn't support the 25, maybe he is thinking it's 50%. I don't know.
Well, the sense I get is less. If anything, it's less, right? Like it's like they just had to apparently just give a number, and that was the number they came up with, and he wasn't conclusively supportive of that. So I guess when we decide what option we want to go with, then that's where those negotiations, I think, come in.
Gord, was that the mayor that said he wasn't in support of the 25% commitment?
Yeah.
Okay.
He that number, that value, that percentage was not something he stood by.
Right. Okay. Well, from my perspective, I think he's sort of right, I suppose, in that I think it's a flexible percentage that was just sort of a starting point as far as I'm concerned, and I think the rest of council were concerned. We just when we were in the meeting, we just wanted to show that we were supporting the halls and the hall boards, and basically that's the sort of the rough number, the rough percentage that we come up with for generally everybody. And but I mean, there's no that it wasn't a hard, firm 25%. I mean, it's I'm sure that when it comes back to council, if Terry's got a different number, we're open to any other numbers. So we haven't, as a council, we haven't heard anything at all. So it's still, I mean, I'm sitting here, and hopefully you don't think I know what's going on, because I don't know what's going on. It's in the hands of Terry and Doug and John Ferguson. But my impression was that council were just willing to support or to show our commitment, to show our support for the hall boards, and that was the figure that we come up with. But that was just a starting point. That was just something to start with. So. Yeah.
Just trying to think if there's any other points related to that meeting. I mean, you can read the minutes if you have a chance, and it'll all be there.
Well, I think that our proposal that we had of lowering the stage, lowering both bathrooms, and putting the new entrance on, and whether we install the elevator right now or just get a start to that point. 2025 is the goal date, but if we can have the entrance built and provisions made, and if we do have to defer the 50,000 or whatever it is for the elevator for a couple of years, that is an option too.
Yeah, the takeaway I had I only caught the end of that meeting, which was good, but I have to say it was disheartening, because the impression I got, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gord, is that in terms of the process, like this thing needs to be fully designed, drawn out, spec'd out, tendered in the whole township protocol. And then basically, once it's awarded, and we, as Gord said, there's no, the hall board has no say in who it's awarded to or anything. So it could be a firm out of Toronto or Kingston or who knows where, that come in and do it. And, and we're not allowed in, nothing, zero, zilch show in terms of volunteer capabilities and stuff. But even to get that first stage, to get to a tender, that's where, like, there's a big investment potentially there to be even find out what it's going to cost. Like, it was pretty brutal. I thought that reality of the township process, which they have to comply with, but it left us, I think, honestly, kind of high and dry in a way. And that's where we came back around to that thing of saying, well, what if we took it over? Because if we did take it over, we don't have to deal with that municipal protocol. But there's its own issues there.
My big fear would be we'd lose all the control there, and then it's low bid general contractor. There's lots of generals out there that are the lowest bid, and they make their money on the extras after. That's what I would be afraid of.
Yeah, and that's where that initial package is, I'm sure you would know well, Mark, right? Like, you're got to dot every I and like all that in to get a good, accurate bid that somebody isn't going to nail you for extras.
That's next to impossible.
Yeah, especially with the renovation.
Yeah, like from their perspective, they don't know what's behind those walls any better than we do, but it's just very scary. Your budget could go from $750,000 to $950,000, and if we were on the hook for, we get this much, and then we get the rest of it we're responsible for, it could easy double. Easy. Yeah. Like,
well, Terry even said that. He's like, for some of the bigger projects, you allocate 18 million, and in the end you're paying 30. Like that's just the way it is. That's just the process. And it's yeah, I mean, yeah, the loss of control is a little bit scary who we're handing it over to.
Yeah, they have, unless they do pre-quals, that'd be the only way to control that. Then you can, which there is a lot of that done. Yeah, the general has to be pre-qualified to eliminate the riffraff, right? Or eliminate ones you get better control then, but you also pay for it in the long run, right? But
yeah, I just thought of another way that some, especially municipal projects, go ahead, like let's say a new recreation center or something. It's where the call goes out for essentially a team, or whether it's a design build company or, a design company's teamed up with a construction company, and they put in a proposal together as a whole package. That would be maybe an easy way to go about it, because you just say, okay, well, here's the data that we need to adhere to. You guys come up with a solution and the cost and everything. I don't know for such a small job if anybody would be interested, but I know, like, I don't know if you guys know Dan Burrill, or some of you know him, the engineer. That's what he gets involved in, that kind of thing. And, and they're building arenas for small towns and stuff like that. And it's a whole package deal. So engineering's all included, and the construction and everything in one package. That would be the easiest for us. And
Right.
I think if people actually bid on it, you wouldn't have to put up any money beforehand.
Right. You would have some more control then about picking what you want.
Maybe, yeah, because it's not only a construction solution, it's a design as well,
Mhm.
hopefully. But
And hopefully the designer would consult with us to figure out what we wanted first.
yeah, or they may come up with something better. Like if they're going at it to try and get the job, figuring out the most economical solution, which at the end of the day is all we're trying to do. What's the cheapest way of doing this thing?
Most efficient.
Yeah, most efficient, not cheapest, but cheapest in a way too. Anyway. But again, it's such a small project.
Well, you're talking about changing ownership. Is there any way that if we just had it leased, would we be able to do the renovation on our own?
What was that?
If we leased it.
I'm just thinking of a store or anything like that. They go in and, they lease a building and they go out and do the renovation to turn it into a restaurant or whatever they want it to be. It's all on their dime, but they get to do the renovation. And then, if they close up and move out, the renovation's already happened. So, you lease it from them for a 6-month period to do the renovations and then say, oh, yep, this is the work I did.
Yeah. What do you think, Doug? Or is it still because it's a municipal building,
Yeah.
Or did you discuss Mayor Measure's suggestion of the situation that they have in Oro Medonte? Do you recall that?
Yeah, where is that? That is a good point. You know what? And when he mentioned that, and then I got lost on some of the other stuff later. So yeah, in Oro Medonte, the halls are privately owned, but there's like a loose relationship where the township gives them they get grants from the township for operation and stuff like that, right? So basically it's like they're secretly supporting the halls without having to own them.
right?
And it was my understanding that Terry said, they'd be open to a proposal. So if you guys looked at the finances for it and what you think it might take to operate it in a year, that you might be able to propose some sort of package in which perhaps council could grant the board, the new incorporated board, so much funds to help sustain it. I hope I'm explaining that.
How much is that guaranteed though? Like, is that
Yeah,
a contract?
they said something about a contract and having something of that nature. Yes.
So the reason we do this is basically the goal here, is to, by taking ownership, is to avoid having to be accessible compliant. So then the decision we have to make is, do we want our hall to be accessible or not? See,
I don't.
Would you do it to just avoid having to contract it out, and then we could do the work ourselves?
Right. I have no problem with the building being accessible, like having it as a public accessible building, that whether, have the wheelchair or the elevator, the washroom, that stuff. I have no problem with that. It's just the way they're going to go about doing the contracting and the everything that's going to happen.
Yeah. Be nice to keep it local.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's everybody's sentiment. I got, from most of the boards, but to them, their hands are tied, and if they're going into this process, they're doing it under the municipal rules. So, yeah, I'm still sort of at a loss for understanding if we take over the ownership I guess we're hoping to maybe get a grant from the township to help us in the process of our own private renovation.
Do we
Because
have access to the Oro Medante? Like, is that public record, their agreement?
I'm sure we could potentially reach out to them and find out, but I don't think it's public record.
Well, I mean, I'm sure like a fellow hall board who's interested in kind of setting up the same framework as them, they might be more than happy to provide like some sort of redacted form of their contract so we could at least look at it. Because right now, like, I would assume that they've contracted for a certain amount of money.
Yeah, but that contract to me is just basic core operations, right? So it helps them pay their insurance, it helps them pay their utilities and those elements, which to me is great. But if we're looking at doing a renovation, we need to be thinking beyond our, a $15,000 to $20,000 grant for operations, to looking at like a $400,000 or $500,000 to meet some, to do a renovation to be compliant. So I don't know.
Sorry, I'm assuming that like this would include like a separate agreement that we would still get funds for the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems tricky just that another like a nonprofit group or something is created and then they get all this township money.
Yeah.
And a building and property. And it seems like, oh boy.
Right. But I think that like, I actually think it's more simple than that. I think there would easily be a clause that, it could never be sold. And if anyone wanted to like if you close down, then it automatically goes back to the township. Like there would definitely be that type of.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
more
they
of like
did
a
mention those.
sub corporation of the township, kind of like it's not. I don't know. It would depend on what their agreement says, but
Yeah. Well, I'll make a point of reaching out to them and see if we can get a copy of that and understand what's going on there. And then I think, I think we have to have further discussions and negotiations with the township to if we're gonna go down this route, what is available. But we have to obviously present them something, and we have to come up with a bit of a sort of our own timeline of what we'd like to see happen. So I think, Jim, I like your idea of we maybe need to have a informal goal setting mission before we come up with any proposal to the township.
Gord, can I ask a question? What's the deal with is it the building or the land that there's a special clause in your agreement or whatever that is it the building that has to be used for the benefit of the community, or is it the land?
I think it's the park.
It's
Like,
the park.
it's the
I don't
park.
know if Doug, if the hall and the park were two separate properties. The hall has
Right.
been since 1950, whatever, owned by the township, but the park was
Right.
owned by the Women's Institute. And then they deeded it over to the township with the promise that it would always be for the public. But I'm not sure if they have, those properties have merged or not. I don't know if they're still separate.
Well, if the township's involved, there's a pretty good chance that they've merged.
You would think usually when two adjacent properties are owned by the same entity, they merge. I believe that's often the
yeah,
case.
that's
Is that clear?
correct.
Yeah,
Would that clause still apply then?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
I'm thinking I'm thinking, could you say to the township, it's your building, you guys, it's got to be used for the community. It's in our deed. You do what you want with it, but it's got to be used for the community. We're still available to manage it for you, but put it back on the township. I mean, I suppose if you went that route, the problem is the township could say, well, we're going to close it, but that's
We'll keep the
the
park
only
open.
downside. But
Yeah, so
There's also the potential, like obviously there's a multitude of opportunities, and I know Gord, you said that we would talk about this at another meeting, but like them maintaining the land and just selling like the rights to the building. Like I think if this is actually something that everyone's on board with, and then we need to consult, like a professional and get a legitimate opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that was discussed here, like if we do plan to go that route, then yeah, there will be basically legal discussions on what that means and how that will all be drawn up. And we can go to them with that. We're just picking our course right now. Which avenue do we want to basically approach the township with? Like that was my thought. I was like, yeah, the town, if they, you keep the land there, then they take care of all, and they probably, and as Mark said, they probably do that anyways, if it was a whole part and parcel. But yeah, I mean, the real question is the building. It's how we maintain control. Is it, it sounds like ownership, and how can we do that financially and, feel comfortable with the situation going forward?
I think there's a lot of opportunities for fundraising and the community all helping out and doing, like if we maintain control and are able to do it that way. I mean, I get the sense that everyone's kind of on board. I don't want to speak for everyone, but maybe a private poll would be more appropriate if people don't want to speak their mind.
it's still on the fundraising end, like it is that the magnitude is daunting. Like even if we have a lot of volunteer labor and things like that, like we're still, I would think, talking hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially because of some of these requirements.
And then another,
Same.
yeah, another sense I got from that is that, if we are, indebted to the township for that 200,000-300,000, I don't get the sense that there's going to be a huge pressure to pay that. It's the sort of thing that could be, stretched out over 100 years, sort of thing. I don't get the sense that they're saying we need 20 grand from you every year, over the next whatever, 30 years or 15 years to pay it off. I get the sense there's a lot of flexibility in how that would be paid off, or I think it's us making a commitment, saying yes, sure, we won't take this on, and it's our goal to meet certain things, but I really don't think, like, at the end of the day, what can they do, right? If we're not, I mean, that will be the discussion too. It's like how structured that repayment plan is. But once again, that's if we're going down the route of the Burnside reports and doing those elements. I think if we go into a private incorporated ownership, then I think it's a different negotiation and discussion.
With the renovation, is it possible for like this outside contractor to do a certain amount and then leave a certain amount for us to do? Or like, is it possible to separate tasks like that?
I don't like maybe the very end stuff, but I think there's issues of WSIB and insurance and things like that. Like the way that
Right,
they
right.
pitched it is we are not allowed in the building when construction commences.
Right.
Too much liability on the construction firm.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. We're in the same boat. You can't let the public in your site.
Yeah.
Too much liability.
Right. Okay.
I mean, there have been local organizations that have done fairly simple fundraisers, much larger than I think we've ever done, and been able to raise $20,000-$30,000 doing that. I mean, it would be a lot of work on our small hall board, but it's with community support, I think it would be possible.
Is there any point in doing like a Kickstarter or anything? Like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know those things are out there, and I don't know.
I think the idea would be like, the purpose of this is to keep the hall going and fund the hall. So I don't know.
Because a Kickstarter doesn't require any, manpower at all, right? It's just sort of a online thing, like in addition to fundraising, right?
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, the bar is your moneymaker. So, when everyone is allowed out, that's kind of the idea.
Right.
Yeah. Like they raised $1 million to build Station on the Green. I believe.
Who did
The community, a board. Like that's, Creemore, as we all know, is a little bit of a different place. But that is the way. And I think a lot of that was just phoning people up and asking them to write a check.
Yeah.
So it's a different way. I don't know. It's a very difficult situation, I've got to say.
Do we have any kind of mailing list of people who regularly come?
We have a mail, we have a
pretty-
MailChimp list, but it's I mean, it's older. But I think the sense I get is we want to maintain control of the changes that are going to happen to the hall. And we can't do that if it's in the hands of the municipality. So
unless we hire somebody to, like Lloyd or whatever, to lay it all out the way we want it, and then it goes forward.
Yeah. So
that would be the way to control it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably beneficial if we are able to have this conversation separately.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree.
How about we set a date next week?
I can do Thursday or Friday next week.
Is this for an additional meeting?
Yeah, just to get together, just look at the park, discuss your garden, basically.
You're thinking of it in person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Both days work for me.
Yeah, Thursday works.
Thursday for me.
Yeah.
Work for me.
Yeah, so we're doing a private workshop. Let's plan a private workshop at the hall for the Thursday. Lights not an issue. You want to say 7 o'clock? Does that work for people?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the 24th of June.
Yeah.
Do you want to say Friday's the rain day? Or, I don't know.
I think weather-wise, I think we're good next week
Okay.
for the Thursday. I think if there's rain, the rain's on Monday. That could change, obviously, but
You're the farmer.
yeah. Good. Okay. That's great. Yeah, and just, there's an opportunity to mill over what we've been discussing, and I would like to hear maybe a little bit more, David. You sound like you had a long conversation with Lloyd, and just to sort of, is he have interest in being involved in this?
I believe so. I asked him to stop in on his way one way or the other and, just have a little look at it so you kind of have an idea what I was talking about. So
Yeah.
I gave him the Coles Notes version of what I was thinking, and he agreed with my numbers that I was firing out, that he thought that was, feasible.
Yeah.
So.
Doug? Are you there? Doug,
Yeah, there he comes.
he's there?
Yep, here I am.
Sorry, I just wondered if you, not that it matters that much, but do you have a sense of what the township would prefer us to do? Do they have a strong opinion either way?
Probably pay for it all, but that you guys pay for it all. No, I'm just, I'm not being serious there. No, you know what, Raj? No, I don't. As far as a member of council, as I was saying earlier, we had those workshops back, I don't know, what was it, a couple of months ago now, and that's the only sort of input that council have had at all. Since then, it's been all up to Terry and his group. He's not come to us at all with any sort of report. I understand, I guess he's going to be coming to us with a report sometime in June, and he's going to deal with each hall individually. That's my understanding. But as far as, what is the township expecting of you? I have no clue. I have no clue. All I know is what was said in that workshop, and it was just a general, thing that we wanted to support you, and everything was pretty flexible. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't be more help, but.
No, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, that was the first question I sort of posed to the mayor and the CAO when the meeting started. Is what is the value of the halls to the township and the staff? And obviously they were very supportive. They're very important. It's an important part of the identity of the township. They would love to see them continue to operate in the sort of same fabric as they have in the past. So they're completely supportive, but it becomes, obviously financial considerations, and also, our commitments to whatever the future of the halls are going to be. So, obviously it was very politic talk, but genuine. I know, obviously Doug has been part of the hall board as has the past mayor. So they're, I think they're with us. It's just, they have to follow a certain set of guidelines, and essentially so do we to a degree. So it's just figuring out what that is to make us all sort of happy at the end of the day. And it is really unfortunate because we basically have the most halls in any township in Ontario. And so we, you know, the Clearview is being hit hard with this accessibility thing because all of a sudden you have more facilities that you have to, you know, make compliant. And that's there's not a lot of, it doesn't sound like there's any support coming from the government at this point. You know, like I've sent, you know, Suzanne's had done some looking into different grants and stuff like that, and I've sent those requests off to Amanda, and you know, the mayor and this has mentioned that, you know, talking to, you know, the provincial person, I don't know what his title is, and his basically, you know, on basic issues of funding and you know, penalties for compliance and stuff like that, and they're getting no feedback. There's really no guidance from above. So, you know, obviously
Bob doesn't know any better either.
Who?
Above doesn't know any better either.
No.
There is a fairly distinct possibility then that it, not to say we want to not do it, but it may get extended.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, like even if we said yes today, 2025 isn't that far away when you think about what has to all happen, right?
Yeah. And that's another issue. It's you know, what basically, you know, I don't know how long a project like this is going to take, but I, you know, judging from some of the other, you know, community, you know, like the library and the skating rink and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, Doug, how long was that? That was like almost a year and a half, if not two. You know, so you're basically shut down.
The library?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there,
It's,
yeah.
yeah.
The general went bankrupt though, right? So that dragged that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another concern is like you got 6 halls being done. How do each of them get tendered separately? This is not, I'm not really sure. Or does it get tendered as a package? So you have one group coming in doing the whole thing, and then at what sort of, are they, you know, are they spreading the work amongst the halls at the same time? There's a lot of unknowns, I think, in that regard too. Yeah, so give some thought, and then we'll workshop it on Thursday, and hopefully we can make some sort of a plan to go forward and get back to the township on what our intentions are and give them some sense of what our goals and where we're going. I also reach out to Oro Medonte and get a sense of what the contract they have with their halls are. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else from that meeting. I'm forgetting. Yeah, anything that I might have missed?
Gord?
Yep.
I was just going to say, like, after you have your meeting there, and I don't know that I should go to it. I think I probably should stay arm's length. I think that's what would be probably the advice that the township would give me. But don't be afraid to sort of, you know, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't be afraid to strike a hard line. You know, it's just figure out what your bottom line is and say, there you go, Terry, this is our bottom line, take it or leave it. You know, I wouldn't be afraid to do that. You know, so, and it's because my understanding is that every hall is going to be handled differently. And the only thing that I said at the workshop, I said I didn't want to see one hall get a windfall gain at the putting other halls at a disadvantage or at the expense of another hall. So, but I mean, every hall can be it will be probably handled differently. And like what you were saying there, if if you want 100 years to pay off a loan, tell them you want 100 years to pay off the loan. So, anyway, I would strike it with a hard bargain. Anyway, that's all. That's just my opinion. So.
Good. Any other input? Anybody's thoughts or feelings on this that they want to get off their chest right now?
No.
Did we all sing happy birthday?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's too late.
Or maybe just Doug from the township to Jim.
I don't have my hat on, my birthday hat. I would, otherwise I would sing happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, Doug. I'll just picture that. Going
I'll tell you though,
that's a good.
after this meeting though, Jim, I'm going to have a beer in your honor. That's for sure. I'm heading to the meeting's over.
We have one more issue on the agenda that we can tick off and then adjourn and sing our lungs out. Doug had been approached, and we discussed, I think, at the last meeting about the parking spaces for the mailbox. I guess Doug had been approached with people suggesting moving the mailboxes into the parking lot, like somewhere along the lines in there. I think we discussed this when they originally were being located, that we thought the parking lot might not, just based on the snow removal parts and there's no light right now, that wasn't the best idea. So, I mean, I talked to Joseph. I know he's made extra room so the 2 cars can park in there. Also, the concern was people backing out onto 91 or the Duntroon side road, the concerns of obviously the big trucks and the traffic and stuff. I might post something and just make a suggestion. If you're picking up your mail, parallel park. Like there's plenty of space there to go 4 to 6 cars along the side without even having to turn in, and just do the parallel park because that's the safest way to exit and enter. So I don't know if anyone, so, obviously I don't think the mailboxes really are a hall issue, but I kind of think that is, we discussed earlier, I still think that's the best place for them. And I don't know.
I agree. I agree. The lighting is very important there.
Yeah.
And in the winter time, if they're in the parking lot, they'll be pushed up beside the trees.
Yeah.
And when people come, you can see all our posters of all our events in the window.
That's right.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it keeps the hall in people's minds a little bit too in the community.
They may have to move with rentals, but right now they're good.
Very true.
Yeah, so that was a suggestion from one of the Duntroon residents, and I said, I'll run it by Terry and Gord and everything. So I just fired it off in an email. I mean, those are all valid points that you guys make. So especially the lighting, and also I never even thought about the fact that the posters in the window. So no, those are all valid points. So I sort of, once again, I just sent the email to Terry and to Gordon. I said, here, here's a suggestion. And then I sort of washed my hands of it. And so I didn't think it was going to go anywhere anyway. So.
Yeah, and if we do have to move them, obviously, as Ron was mentioning, when we do go into construction, we have to move them, then that will be a test case to see if maybe they are suitable somewhere else and while they're there. So,
right.
Because they will get 4 seasons in a new location probably.
Yeah. Okay,
good. Yeah, I just thought I'd mention that and raise awareness to that. But yeah, I think I will post something just on the mailboxes if you're parking. If you feel more comfortable, we suggest parallel parking because people are just, you're in and you're out. It's not like you're blocking anyone in.
Yeah.
Everybody goes for a walk for exercise. Heavens to Mercury, they'd have to walk 20 feet to get to the mailbox in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe if they were
Save
concerned, they
10
could
feet.
join the hall board.
Yeah.
I think that's it. The next meeting is set for the 20th. Just want to double check the calendar here, make sure that looks good. That's fine. Okay, so next meeting, July 20th, 7 o'clock.
It will still be Zoom, or what are we thinking?
Well, that was another question. Kayla, is there any sort of feedback on what's going on, or like when in public meetings might be allowed?
I've got nothing for you yet.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
Well, once phase 2 gets here, we may have a better sense of what's going on.
Yeah, and that is the 12th, I think, or 10th or 12th, or in that range.
12th or 14th.
And Ian, you're not really able to get back into August, or?
That's correct. Yeah, it's all August, and I think the last one I got set up is September 3rd.
Is that just based on restrictions or just?
Yeah, we're shut down until we hear further notice. I suspect it'll be the end of July when we finally get the green light again.
Yeah.
For gatherings indoors.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have you guys marked down as wanting to meet back face to face. So it's up there in the old brain bank.
Yeah. Big it out. Let's.
You track stuff up there?
Yeah, sometimes. Unless it's Minecraft, then it just flies right out.
All right, let's adjourn. Be resolved that the Duntroon Hall Board meeting be adjourned at 8:50 on this fine June 15th, 2021, the date of Jim Campbell's birthday. Everybody together. Happy birthday to you. Follow my hand.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, everybody. Very nice to see you all.
Jim, how does it feel?